glad you came over to meet with me.
Thank you for inviting
Yeah.
me and being here in London.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I really love it here. It's a little cold, a little wet for me.
But are you usually based in New York?
No, I'm based in Santa Cruz at the beach,
Oh,
where
okay.
it's like 70, let's see, Celsius. It's like, 25 degrees and sunny every day. Celsius. It's very nice.
It's actually quite. I mean, it could be
No,
a lot
it's really
colder.
no, it's really nice for this time of year right now.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
very
I'm like
thankful.
grateful.
Yes, yes, yes. No, I know that, but it's why I come visit. I did live here for 2 months.
Oh,
I was
okay.
living in Ilfracombe, Woolacombe area, so really far west side, west of Exeter, west of Bristol, kind
Oh,
of all the way to the very far west side of
what took you there?
music. I was traveling with a band, and we did like, I don't know, 40 concerts in two
Okay.
months. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty fun time.
Outside of London, or outside of the big
5
city,
hours
it's
outside.
quite different.
Way, yes. Very
But
country.
yeah,
Very country. Yeah. And did you grow up here?
I was born in Bangladesh and I actually lived in Uganda very
Okay.
briefly,
Wow.
and then I grew up all over the UK. But I've been in, I went to uni in London like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I've been around in London for a few decades now.
Okay. And then you came to the event at the House of Lords yesterday.
Yes.
So how did you find out about that?
Um, I I knew NFT NYC London was happening, but I haven't bought a ticket, and I just went into Eventbrite, and it just
And it was listed.
the first one that
Yeah.
listed, yeah.
Yeah, it was the first community event that we've done. Well, I think there's about 70 community events on nft.london/events, which is wonderful. It's our first year here.
Yeah.
The first year we did an event in New York, I think we had like 3 community events. And the second year, maybe 5 or 10. And then things really scaled up in 2021. We probably had about 50 or 100. Now in June, I think we had several hundred. It could have been like as many as 500 community events that happened in June.
Right.
So we sold 16,000 tickets to our event. And then there's another 10 to 15,000 people that came to town and didn't go to our event, just so they could go to these different parties.
Do you know, this is what I really like about this bit of sort of tech. It's very self-initiated, and I
Yeah.
think that sort of breeds community.
Absolutely.
Nobody's telling people to do this. It's
Right.
kind of just bubbling up, and
Yes.
that's really exciting.
Yeah, I think so. So you saw it on Eventbrite. You
Yeah.
requested an invite or
Yeah.
whatnot, and our team, when they saw your application, they said she must be in the room. So congratulations. And what was the experience like for you at Parliament yesterday? I unfortunately had to turn away a bunch of people. It made me very sad. I had a lot of people that we just couldn't fit everybody.
Yeah.
What happened was I posted the event and I limited the invites by Ian to 60 because that was a max in the room. And then I
Yeah.
had this other category, request an invitation. And when I landed in London, it was like a 12-hour flight. There was like 140 people had registered. Uh-oh. So I'm glad that you came, but obviously it was a lot of people coming through. I can
Yeah.
barely remember everything that happened. But give me your impression. Like, what was it like for you to be there, to be with that community? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I thought it was a great location, and the fact that it was sort of endorsed by government makes it exciting, because one of the sort of associations with particularly not so much NFT but the DeFi aspect is it's sort of quite anti-establishment, and so to be there in the House of Lords,
Right.
it sort of reinforces its longevity in this country.
Yeah.
I would say UK is behind in the US in terms of what's happening with NFTs and DeFi, clearly, because most of it's coming out of California and Austin.
Right.
So that was exciting, just as a location, and connecting with sort of the regulators in a way. And you had a couple of politicians who were interested in tech, and I've forgotten the name of the one from Hackney.
Well, there was a couple lords with us, and there was a few ladies with us. And it's
Okay.
funny because the ladies actually registered, and they're like part of government and parliament, and And I saw them on the registration. I'm like, why are they even registering? They can just come and walk in anytime
Yeah.
they want. So I didn't. I have a hard time remembering everybody that was there.
I'm a bit bad with. I'm very good with
Yes,
faces, but
yes.
a little bit bad with names. So yeah, one of the lords, and particularly his project was about, I think, sequestering carbon. And so there are just many.
Yeah, you're talking about Lord Natway, and
Yeah, Lord Natway,
Yeah, he's
that's
the
it.
Baron of Shoreditch.
Baron of Shoreditch.
And so
okay.
he is the one. Well, he's done a lot of really progressive things around technology, environmental stuff, and he has been doing some things around algae
Yeah.
to try and progress humanity and our pursuit for a better and healthier environment in the world.
Yeah, so the fact that there are all these different sort of positive, issues being tackled in such a progressive and positive way by people who are in a position of power to do that. We're all coming together, and so I thought that was a lot more than I expected.
Yeah.
From the event.
Right.
It was purposeful.
Yeah.
It wasn't just.
We don't give tickets away.
No, I can understand. It's your business, right?
Well, I mean, for a first year, there's a likelihood of us not making any money and us losing money. So it does become like there's this balance of we want everybody to be there,
Yeah.
but there's a hard cost against everybody. So
Yeah.
we have to be very thoughtful about it. So what's really helped for us is having independent community events.
Yeah.
By having independent community, I'm gonna actually have you turn your microphone up a little bit. So
How do I?
I was just gonna have you clip it on instead of you had it clipped like this. So just clip it like that.
I can have it showing. Maybe it's easier.
No, I just mean you just had it kind of faced
okay.
that way. So I'm just gonna have you just when you clip it, just face it that way a little bit.
Thanks.
I just want to make sure people can hear you.
Like.
Yes, exactly. Just like
Okay.
No, we're good. We're good. So yeah, I'll give you both of the video files, and then I time lapsed in between, so it might be kind of interesting as we're like,
Okay. I like it. I like this kind of being in the wild with,
Yeah.
because I think sometimes things are too synthesized.
Yeah.
Like loses
It's not-
the soul of.
People are not super interested in highly polished
No.
content.
It's a lack of
So-
authenticity.
Yeah. People like vulnerability, and they should. I mean, we all
It's
do.
life, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. So, I know we got cut off, and I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I feel like we kind of covered a lot of ground of the experience of House of Lords.
Yeah,
And
I
kinda
just
your-
wanted to say, I think it would be nice to have regular events, because I don't know if you guys are going to come back next year or.
We are. We're going to be here next year.
Okay, but even interim, because I've been to other events at the House of Commons as well, and House of Lords, and they just seem a bit, random, and it's nice to
Inconsistent
keep
and
up the
sporadic?
momentum, because
Yes.
I think a lot of politicians or lords and people would love to, they don't have technical knowledge at all,
Yes.
and I think they want to have, and I think the country needs it.
Right. I agree.
So
Yeah. It is a lot easier to put forth the energy to make things happen
yeah,
when it's part of a big event. Like the truth is,
Yeah.
I've had an open invitation to do what I did at the House of Lords since 2018.
okay,
So I've had an open invitation to do that for over 4 years. I've never done it. Well, the pandemic was a big part of that because we did have some things planned for 2020, 2021, but I did not do it because for me to try and bring all that energy
yeah,
and make all those invites. And hey,
Yeah.
everybody from around the world, can you come to the UK? I want you to book a ticket and come here. Because a lot of what I was trying to do is gather together global web leaders. And about half
Right.
that room was global web leaders from around the world. And
yeah.
half
I
was
did.
the
I
local.
met people from
amazing.
Singapore, from
Yep.
India, obviously from the US.
All
as
over the
well.
world, they flew
Yeah.
in for that yesterday.
Yeah.
But they flew in for that because they were coming to NFT London.
Yeah.
Right.
I see.
So for them, it's a matter of like, okay, I'll fly in 3 days earlier so I can spend time with Ian and my peers. And then about half the room was local people, right, at different levels of Web3 engagement that
And
had
obviously,
found out
London
about
is
it.
it's probably the
Of
most
course.
cosmopolitan place
It,
anyway. Yeah.
it, I think that would be a strong case to say that this is as cosmopolitan as anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Super diverse in every area: age, ethnicity, culture, background, mother tongue, all of it, right? So for me to do that independently is hard to justify.
Right.
For an organization like NFT, NYC, NFT London to do more than one event a year in a place is also probably more than the market's asking for.
Right.
So this is why it's important for us to capitalize on the moment and try to create as much energy and
Yeah.
enthusiasm and excitement as possible during that kind of consolidated period of time.
That does make sense. I think maybe I'm just speaking as a sort of a British national. It just seems, maybe I'm going to do it.
There you go.
No one's pushing what's happening in the UK far enough.
Yes.
In the US, there are obviously people like yourself who are really, you're moving it forward by bringing people together. I'm like, what's driving you? Like, why are you in
Me?
this space? Yeah. What's your background?
So that's a good question. What's driving me?
What do you believe in?
What do I believe in?
Yeah.
I love humanity very, very, very much. I believe that Web3 technology is really, really important for humanity, especially the 2/3 of the world that is impoverished and developing. So I think it's the ultimate automation tool that's inevitable. So my selfish motivation for Web3 is it will automate my software companies. So I have a company called Attention Live. Our company, we'd like to think we built the most important communication tool in history. Like what Gutenberg Printing Press did for physical communications, we believe our software is doing and will do for digital communications.
Can I just ask, like, what is it? I mean, is it
Our
5G? Like,
our
what's it about?
software is pretty simple. You put content through our software, like all of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches of all time, or all of the speeches that are happening by a podcaster or a teacher or a professor today. You put it through our system, and we send it everywhere at one time. So it's a media distribution tool. If you record in our system, we record it, we can transcribe it. So it's like an all-in-one media solution. So that part's great. But the two parts that we've added to our software platform is it's tied to the blockchain. So when content goes through our system, NFTs are created against that content and immediately put inside OpenSea, which allows us to more or less protect a person or organization's intellectual property, their copyrights, and allow them to immediately capitalize on that and be compensated for it, depending on how they function the utility. The other element is we have a voice interface. You can talk to our system through Amazon Alexa, talks back to you. So that's our company, and for me, I know that smart contracts automate the process that would be manual. So instead of me having this massive staff of dozens or thousands of people on staff as we scale to ideally millions or billions of users, we can have smart contracts do the majority of the work that a human would have to do. And so that was my original selfish draw to Web3. I didn't quite know how we were going to build our product. This is my 8th company, so I've had the same tech team more or less for 10, 15 years. And I knew it was going to be difficult because it's basically 3 inventions combined into one. So what I decided to do was start events. So I started doing these future of tech, future of blockchain, future of voice, all these future of events at the Twitter headquarters, at NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, at other major corporations that would invite me to come use their event space. One of my speakers in 2018 at the Future of Blockchain was Jody Rich. Jody is the founder and main organizer of NFT NYC and NFT London. So when Jody came to my event, he could see that I had a very unique skill set because I'm incredibly curious, and I treat interviews as market research. So by me interviewing 1,000 people in the last 5 years, which many of them I've interviewed more than once, and I've kind of helped tell their story over time.
Can I just say something as well, feedback?
Yeah,
You're very
please.
relaxed, which is
I am very relaxed.
which is extremely nice for someone talking to you, because it's disarming.
I'm not intense, yeah. I mean, ideally this is a natural, organic conversation with a couple
'Cause
people.
I was a little bit intimidated
Oh, I don't
before
want you to
I
feel
came along to speak to you.
No,
Because
I
I've
don't want you to
seen
feel
you
that.
online and talked to many, many people, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like that's a bit scary actually.
Well,
But now I'm here. You're like,
there's a big
oh,
difference
let's just
between
chill.
there's a big difference between you and I spending time and sharing a moment that might be really meaningful to you, to me, or to both of us, or to the community.
It's like
That's
your agenda
very
isn't.
different.
Yeah, it's very different.
Very
yeah.
different than like me on a stage,
Right.
where I have 5 or 30 minutes to try to communicate something that I think is important for the audience. And most of the time I'm talking on a stage, I'm not even talking to the audience. I'm talking to a camera. Like I'm always
Yeah.
thoughtful, like, okay, there's a limited number of people in this room, but
Yeah.
there's an unlimited number of people that can hear what I have to
Yeah.
say.
The
So
outreach is
yeah.
multiple times more.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for asking that question. I am obviously motivated for my company to automate what we're doing, but it's market research. So for me, by me sitting down with you, I will likely learn something or some things I do not currently know. So either your viewpoint, your worldview, you see things a certain way, and that will change how I begin to see things. Or something that you're working on is intriguing to me, and I start to put pieces together. Or maybe when I'm explaining something, like my motivation, I explain it differently, and so I'm learning something different about myself. So I just find this very, very valuable for self-awareness, for market research, for relationship development. So at this point, like in the future, in a week or a month or a year, if there was a reason for me to connect with you professionally on something, the likelihood of us having an immediate ability to have something productive happen is very high, because we spent time like getting to know each other. We even created something. For me, this is kind of like art. This is my painting. This is my sculpture, capturing conversations with people. But let's talk a bit about you. I know that you have a project. I'd love to hear about what you're working on.
Okay, so I've got quite an eclectic background, and about 2016, when VR came back on the scene, I went into a professional commercial project, but from a wearables angle. It was sort of a haptic actuator innovation piece, which actually had some government funding, which we nearly took to market as well through another company. But that was like my first introduction into VR. And over the years, I've started to make my own content. I've had funding for my own studio as well. A lot of art-based pieces, but talking about how just connecting outside of your circle is a way of real market research. So the art pieces for me was a way to actually try out what I was doing outside of, say, gaming environment. I showed things at the V&A museum, which is, their demographic is like women.
Right.
So it's the demographic that, never gets asked anything in tech. And it was like old ladies, and it was women with kids, and they were trying sort of my VR crazy pieces. So it gave me a completely different insight into how to develop what I was doing. Anyway, then COVID happened, and obviously you can't really demo things in public, particularly stuff which is stuck to your face and then put on someone else. And even now, I think people are a little bit they're used to a mask.
It
but
is different.
Like the space is different. Personal space is a different thing now.
It's different now.
But there's something to explore, isn't
I was
it?
thinking yesterday, I think I take more risk than the average person for sure. Because I was thinking, like, I literally hugged, like, over 50 people. I'm taking pictures over, 50 plus people yesterday. I'm like, because it's so loud in the room, I'm like, their face is here, my face is here. I feel all their spit on my face.
Did that ever go through your head prior to COVID? It never even.
No, it's different now.
Yeah.
It's different now. But to be honest with you, a lot of what I think about is that there is a percentage, let's call it 20% of humanity that's extremely sensitive to that. So I'm not as concerned about like my health, like, oh, I'm exposing myself to people from around the world and they're gonna like get me sick. I'm not that concerned, but I am thoughtful about, okay, I have friends that really feel like
Yeah.
they're still wearing masks. They don't know why other people aren't wearing masks. They think that not keeping 6 feet distance is like disrespectful to humanity because you could get sick and get other people sick. And so I'm thoughtful about how people feel,
Yeah.
but I'm not willing to change my activity based on other people's opinions, but I am sensitive to it. So I am thoughtful,
Yeah.
like, okay, I understand that this might bother 20% of people that may see things. Like, why is he not more careful? Like, doesn't he know that he's going to be at this event all week and he could get sick and then get other people sick? And it's like, I understand they may feel that way, but for me, it's just a risk I had always taken. And
Yeah.
I did not really change my mentality in terms of risk mitigation around health to that extent. I feel like the amount that I laugh with people and the amount that I enjoy people and that they enjoy me and that we have this human connection, that's more important for my health
Yeah.
than me protecting myself and keeping 6 feet and having a mask on. So for me, I see different priorities for health, like laughter
Yeah.
and joy and
Yeah.
connection, where I don't see like separation and distance and protection as the primary factor for my health. So I know I see things differently, but I'm not in any way like wanting to like expose myself unnecessarily. But yes, I think about it differently today than I used to. How about you? I mean, how do you think through these things?
I mean, being in London, I'm exposed to every possible disease all the time.
All the time.
So I'm kind of used to that. And I actually used to live in central London as well. And I did get, as my daughter was very young, so I was constantly ill and it's very polluted. But at the same time, I really loved living there.
Yeah.
The convenience of being able to do everything that
Right.
I could, and similar to you, you can only compromise so much of your life,
Right.
and actually, we underestimate the impact on mental health because you only see the consequences of it.
That's right.
But at the same time, I've got an elderly father. He's a retired doctor as well, and but I carry on seeing him as well, but with precaution.
Yes.
So I think we have to be considerate. But and additional to that, there are I've got friends who are very sensitive to health concerns, COVID concerns still. And that is a mental health issue as
Yeah.
well.
I know.
You know.
It is a strange situation. So,
But in terms
but-
of IRL events, it's so much better. And that's why I went to loads of conferences all of this year, because you can't, just by being in a room and overhearing and, the energy, the body language, all those things you can't really capture online.
No, you can't. Can we transition to talking about you and what you're working on?
Okay, sorry. There's so many other things to talk
Well, no.
about. but-
I've enjoyed all of our conversation.
Yeah.
I think all of it has been good, both to get to know you and good to capture. But I would like to hear, because you have a lot going on, and you were kind of
Yeah.
getting started. But I'd really love to hear what because we were kind of talking about the VR goggles,
Yeah.
and then I kind of got into like I'm not as careful as other people are. Like that was the conversation that it turned into. But I really want to hear about what's important to you. Like what are you doing in Web3? What are you attracted to in Web3? You're a creative director. It sounds like you have your hands involved in a lot of things. So tell me a bit about it.
Okay, so I created this immersive travel blog, and it's deployed all on the web as opposed to on a normal browser. And I've sort of been. I was part of a government 5G accelerator, so. And in some ways that's why I wanted to use the normal browser framework. And I actually traveled during COVID. So any window that was open, I traveled during that time. And I have traveled a lot over the years.
Was it all in UK or was it outside?
All outside.
Wow.
Been to, 100 countries, but
Wow.
traveling over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And
Do you still enjoy traveling?
do I still enjoy traveling?
Or is it travel with a purpose?
I do love traveling, I have to say, once I started to think, oh, I'm going to document everything and then put it into this project, it stopped. In some ways, it was more fun because I went out of my comfort zone, and I was in Bulgaria. I went on this dark tour, for instance.
Oh, I have a lot of people that I work with in Bulgaria.
Oh, right.
I'm supposed to go to Sofia, but I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. It's a great place. But as soon as it became more like a work thing, I don't know if I liked it as much.
I traveled a lot in my 20s,
Right.
and I kind of like was exhausted from traveling.
It's exhausting.
So I
yeah.
stopped traveling in my 30s for the most part until kind of in the last recent years because of events and things of that nature. But I still travel quite a bit, but I'd rather be home. I love being, although my home situation is pretty awesome. I live in a treehouse in Santa Cruz, so I'm not suffering at home.
A treehouse?
Yeah, it's all glass around the treehouse, so it's just like I'm just like immersed in nature at all
Jesus.
times. Yeah, it's fantastic. Exactly.
Is it on your Twitter? I want to see some photos of this.
Everybody always says, I know, I need to like
Get some proper shots.
legit post. I have a lot of great stuff, but I need to put something together for people like show me the treehouse. I can just like, here it is. Here's the treehouse. Anyways,
That's phenomenal. Does it mean you have to like go up a ladder into
stairs. So we built 3 monster estates on this property that I've lived near for my whole life. So I used to build forts on the tree where the treehouse is built on. It's like a 150-year-old oak tree. So I used to build forts on it. When I was my boys' age, I have 2 boys, 10 and 13. And then we bought the property 25 years ago. I built 2 monster homes with my dad, like an 8,000 square foot, like a 4,000 square foot home. One for a friend, one for them. We eventually built another estate, and then eventually built this treehouse. The treehouse was for Airbnb. A neighbor didn't like we were Airbnb-ing. Like, you know, you're kind of invading my privacy. Strangers are coming up onto the property type of attitude. The conflict was too much to like continue to push, so we kind of said, okay, conflict with the neighbor is not worth money. So
yeah, it can be hell, can't it?
let's
with the neighbour,
just
yeah.
eliminate neighbor conflict for now. So then my boys started going there all the time, and they just like stayed there. So then I missed them. So then I moved my office in there. So now I'm in there with my office, and then we started sleeping in there. And now we basically never leave the treehouse. So I live in the treehouse at this point.
I'm so jealous.
It is definitely a fantastic thing. So I think a lot of times, like I come here to London for a week and a half.
Yeah.
Then I'm going home for a week or two. Then I go to Manila, Philippines for a couple weeks. I'll go home for a month. Then I'll go to Vegas for a week for CES. And so a lot of times people are like, are you excited? And I'll say, no, I'm not excited. I want to stay home and snuggle with my kids and like be in the place where I have the productivity machine. I can accomplish so much when I'm home.
Yeah.
And I'm so at peace. But I still recognize travel has a great purpose, right?
It does
So
have
I'm
a great
thoughtful of that.
purpose, and I think the travel industry, it needs massive disruption because for a lot of people, it sort of breaks down perception and propaganda that we've been fed. I don't mean that in a conspiracy
No, I
way.
understand.
It just like opens your mind when you talk
totally
when you go
does.
somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And you talk to people who live there. Completely changes the way you think about that place, yourself, you know, the stories that you've heard, and that's great. It's learning. It's a learning experience,
Absolutely.
you know, for people who are curious.
Right.
And also just capturing the vibes. All of these things I was trying to bring into my immersive travel blog. But I think I'm at a position in my life where I don't know if it's COVID or this year or whatever, but like I'm going through massive transformation and transition as well. So, and as part of that, I'm kind of right at this moment, I'm, you know, reflecting on where I'm at. I've had a fashion background, I've had a science background, education. I taught a lot at university. Just trying to bring it all together. But I do feel sort of the Web3 space, it offers the potential of where I can create, as yourself, my new life. It makes sense as a technology, the people, so many aspects of it. It's a great place to build and leverage. You know, it is the future.
Yes.
And I think you either see it and believe it,
Right.
or you don't.
Yep.
Like, you know,
Yes.
I'm not going to argue with people who don't believe it. It's happening anyway.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
it's coming, so.
everybody's going to realize
Yeah.
there's an inevitability
Yes.
to automation.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like machine learning that we call AI. You don't have to like distributed ledger technology that we call Web3, blockchain, crypto, DeFi, NFTs. You don't have to like Alexa. But I promise you, our great-great-grandkids are not using thumbs on glass and fingers on a keyboard. They're talking to these products and they're talking back. So you don't have to like these things. You can be afraid of them. You can try to diminish them. You can write bad articles about them. You can demonize them all you want. They are inevitable. Humans are going to figure out how to automate manual things. And it is a waste of time to use thumbs and fingers to talk to a device. It is a waste of time to have humans do manual things that smart contracts can do. It's a waste of time to have a bunch of people doing these different tasks that machine learning can do on our behalf. Now, should we mitigate risk? Yes. Is there a potential for some sort of bad dystopic future? Sure. But I have found that all things that drive humans toward dystopic experiences are bad, are people doing bad things. It's not machines doing bad things. It's people making bad decisions. Like it's a corrupt institution, or it's a corrupt person that is making selfish, greedy, vile decisions that are impacting people. It's not a machine that has like a mean soul.
No, I mean, I think there are sort of two aspects that a lot of people in tech talk, but they haven't got their hands dirty. They haven't, say, like, even with VR, like I've been heckled. I've done a lot of public speaking, and I get heckled. It's rubbish, whatever. Like,
Right.
Have you actually tried it?
Right.
And also, number one, and two, it's there for you to make what you want.
Yeah.
It's like saying, a pencil is bad.
Right.
Maybe you could stab someone with a pencil.
Yes.
Why don't you just draw with it? Why don't you just try it?
Right.
Like they're coming from a space of hype, anti-hype. Like I don't understand why more people don't build and play and
doesn't it
experiment.
feel to you like entertainment is a real issue for this? Like, I'll give you an example. If the only time you've ever seen a pencil in your life was the Batman movie, when the Joker used it to kill somebody, then your only experience of a pencil is it's a weapon. If the only thing that you really think about when it comes to like advanced technology is Terminator, then you think advanced technology is a weapon. So it does feel like it's really easy to make entertainment and escapism that is fear-inducing, anxiety-inducing, and dystopic. It's very hard to make things like Star Trek or Jetsons that is inspiring and hope-filled and like anti-dystopic and utopic type of things. So I feel like entertainment has just taken the easy path and continue to just kind of pump out this kind of fear-mongering type of escapism to us through shows like Black Mirror and Altered Carbon and Electric Dreams, through movies like Blade Runner and Terminator and the like. And this is causing people to have this experience where all they've ever seen is the Joker kill a guy with a pencil. And so when they think about the pencil, like, no, that's a dangerous weapon. Because they never saw somebody make a beautiful painting or a beautiful picture with the pencil. They never saw somebody write their last letter with the pencil. They never saw somebody write down that song that became an anthem for an entire generation. It all started with a pencil. Why? Because we haven't been using the pencil in the primary thing that we're kind of taking into our mind, where we drop our guard. When we're entertained and we escape with entertainment, we drop our guard, and so we kind of let these things in. We don't have like this guard up because we're just letting somebody tell us a story.
I think that's, some of that's critical thinking, but then if we also go back to when humans have been using tools as an evolutionary process, as part of societal progress, and why, it's part of humans to use tools.
Right.
And I think this is what we have to understand.
Yeah.
It's not something, it's not a fight between tools and humans. No, this is part of our society.
Yes.
And it's how we use that. Whether it's weapon or creating, or it's not a new thing. You had the Luddites, and I hate
Right.
using that because then it's like saying, oh, I'm so superior because I've got a VR headset. No,
Right.
it's just accepting that this is stuff to play with.
Yeah.
We can have fun with it. And in terms of the dystopia, again, it's a very sort of Western projection.
Yes.
I don't think it's so much in the East. I'm no expert, but what I have read, it's something that's perpetuated in sort of Western media, like you said.
Right.
Is it easier to make a fun story where the robots and humans fight all the time? I don't know if it's easier, but it perpetuates it.
It's easier to have a smash hit that's based on inducing anxiety and fear than to have a smash hit that's based on inducing love and hope. It is really
Yeah.
hard to grip somebody based off of love and hope because we are drawn toward a fight. We're drawn toward a hero's journey. So there's not a lot of hero's journey elements of the fight for your life in this climax moment and then like this relief. There's not a lot of that if it's like hopeful and loving and about a great future. But there is a lot of that if it's about fear and anxiety and overcoming incredible challenges and barely making it alive.
Yeah.
And this is why I say it's the easy path.
Right. Okay.
And this is why you don't see a lot of things that are like Jetsons anymore, because it's hard to make something like Jetsons that people are going to be drawn to. They're not. That story doesn't grip them. They don't get on Twitter and be like, "I just had a life-changing experience watching this." No, they say that when they watch something about a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like, I was just so impacted by this, and it just feels different. Now, talking about VR. So
Okay,
how long have you been involved in VR?
Since 2016. Okay, so I'm at this place where I've got a bunch of projects. I'm not a gamer, but everything I do is very adjacent and overlaps to the gaming world. And with the university last year, even spent a few months developing a game idea about Mars colonization as a backdrop, but actually you have different worlds where you can showcase different, potentially positive technology. Things like algae dresses, for instance.
Yes.
I think if you were to colonize another planet with the constrained resources, you would have to grow. Not just terraform, but you'd have to grow because you don't have the things to make. For instance. So I've got all these like projects floating around that I've been working on, and I been lucky enough to be in the experimental phase, and it's like, well, actually I need to commercialize and make money now.
Right.
So I'm just trying to work out which is the best thing. And there's another aspect of me where it's experimental stuff where I'm a pure artist.
Yeah.
But I just don't believe I can make any money in art. But I haven't really tried either. So I used to be part of an art collective. I was one of the trustees, directors of this art collective as well. Sadly, it's closed down
What kind of
during
art
COVID.
do you specialize in?
I guess it's quite stylized. There's a real fashion aspect to it. It's very visual as well. I love making 3D assets, but crosses over to sort of physical as well. I love fabric prints, textures. I've really enjoyed. Is it art? I don't know, like making stories. All sorts.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like artists have had a better opportunity in the last couple of years because of the way that NFT communities have responded. I have seen some fairly incredible art done with VR. Now, sometimes the only benefit to the artist is awareness, but oftentimes, if done right, the benefit is financial as well. But it's still early. Like when I talk about Web3, I talk about it as like we're almost ready to have the baby, right? Like maybe as an industry, we're in the hospital and the industry is like about to give birth, right? The baby's like 3 centimeters dilated. It's definitely coming.
So graphic.
Sorry. But, well, there's a lot of brutal things that happen right before birth.
Oh yeah.
So when you look at some of the trauma that's the industry has endured
Yeah.
during the last season, it is similar to the trauma that a woman endures when she basically turns her body into a manufacturing plant and allows this child to kind of grow inside of her for 9 months, only to
Yeah.
like go through the incredible, experience, this primal experience of like delivering a child. So
Everyone has a story, right?
everyone has a story. So as an industry, we don't really talk about it in that way, or any industry, but that's really where we're at. The important part about that is some people think that like Web3 is like a toddler, and it's not a toddler. It's not even born yet. Like we're almost there.
Yeah.
So some of the things for artists is, if artists wait until the child is born and until the child goes through diaper phase and actually becomes like a somewhat like, functional child, then there are some benefits in terms of like a lot of things will be structured properly, where right now things are not, it's all very fluid. So I don't really have a strong suggestion for people. I guess my suggestion would be, what do you think you should do, and try to find people that will help you accomplish that and mitigate risk, but also be courageous when it comes to being an artist in the Web3 environment.
Yeah, I think ultimately, it's a funny thing about creative people, artists, that we're so sensitive. It's like, why? Why did God do that?
Right.
It's like the people who get so upset the most about, I don't know, yeah, it's the
Anything.
people who put they wear their hearts on their sleeves.
Right.
And yeah, it's courage, isn't it, ultimately?
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean, it's why we create, though. So if we were not so sensitive, we wouldn't be creative. So you
Yeah.
can't have one without the other. There are not there are not world-class artists in any field: music,
Yeah.
film, painting, sculpture, poetry, interviews. There are
Yeah.
not world-class artists that are emotionally stable, at least not
Yeah.
all the time. And for
Yeah.
them to be emotionally stable, it takes thoughtful discipline.
Yeah.
So they have to stay sober,
Yeah.
they have to get sleep, they
Yeah.
have to be in good relationship. Like, not all those things, but those things are helpful, right?
Yeah, you need
So
stability.
if a creative artist lines things up to give themselves the best possible chance, then the likelihood of these super high manic experiences and super low melancholy experiences
Yeah.
is changed, and it allows an artist to maybe have more long-term longevity. But if an artist is just kind of like going for it and just no restraint whatsoever, this is why artists like have these crazy moments of the peak of the peak of the peak, and then the
Yeah.
worst. Like they might be
Yeah.
worth $100 million, and then they're $10 million in debt, and then like they
Yeah.
go, and that's just financial, but it plays out in other things as well. It is hard to be a creative artist, honestly.
I think if you spend a long time finding your voice and expressing yourself, or having relaxed enough to do that, but then when you create something, you know exactly what's wrong, and
Yeah.
that just drives you like,
Right.
Jesus Christ, that's
Right,
wrong, I
right,
don't want to
right.
put it out there. So maybe it's not even about, I don't think I'll make any money. It's more like, I can't get it quite like the way I want to
Yeah.
get it, and that's it's like a plague, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like a curse. But again, that's part of, like, it's because you're really into it.
Right.
And whether you do something you're
Right.
really, really into, but you care too much, or
Yeah.
you don't do that,
Yeah.
but you can be a bit more sensible about it.
Yeah.
So that's really a personal struggle, I guess. So at this point, and when I go into something, I just go like all in, like so much all in. So I have to kind of go, okay, about to throw my about to have the baby. I'm there on the
Right.
diving board, just
Yeah.
about to jump into the next thing.
Well, it's worth taking the plunge.
Yeah. Maybe someone needs to push me.
Well, there's a big
Yeah.
community. I imagine
Yeah.
there's people in the community that would be intrigued by who you are, what you're doing, based on the history, what you've done, the projection of what is to come. So let's say people see our conversation. How would people follow up with you? How would they find out more?
I think the place where I'm probably most engaged is Twitter. So just at Bushra Burge.
Can you spell that for
Yeah.
everybody?
So it's my name, Bushra, and then my surname, Burge.
Okay. And so Twitter most active, but I think we
Yeah.
connected on LinkedIn as well. Are you active on LinkedIn or?
I am a little bit active on LinkedIn because
So
I'm
mostly Twitter.
Mostly Twitter,
Okay.
yeah.
And then what if they want to find out kind of what you're working on? What you're
Okay.
mostly focused on right now?
So I have my own website, which is bushraburge.com. I've had, while I've been working on my immersive blog, it's had a different title. It's thewild.world. But yeah, very soon I'm kind of relaunching, and part of that is this whole research year
I see.
of what's going on.
Okay. Well, it was fun to sit down with you. We have this amazing view
Yes.
over our shoulder. I think it's kind of blurred on the camera. If we do post this, if somebody sees this, my name's Ian Utile. I am a partner with NFT London. We have our big event this week, November 3rd and 4th at the QE2 building. And we met yesterday at this amazing event at the House of Lords. And I just am enjoying connecting with all of the amazing local people here in Great Britain. So have a very happy day. And I imagine I'll be back again with more interviews just like this. That was fun.